Welcome to Exam Math Keys channel course number 1. This course number 1 is Introduction to Indices, the foundation level. I realized that there are many who are following my solutions that do not know the basics of indices. So in this lesson, we introduce indices. By indices, I mean powers from the foundation. You will learn what x raised to power 2 and x raised to power 3 really mean, and how repeated multiplication forms the basis of exponent laws. This course is perfect for beginners, for those who are preparing for WAEC examinations, NECO, and those who are studying secondary school mathematics. The first lesson is, what are indices? Understanding powers the easy way. Many students fear indices because they think it's complicated. But today, I'll show you that indices are actually one of the simplest topics in mathematics. If you understand this lesson properly, every other rule will become easy. What are indices? What are indices? There is something I want you to have at the back of your mind, and that is like a core or main idea. And what is that? It is that indices has to do with repeated multiplication. Repeated multiplication. So when you have x raised to power 2, I want you to observe the way this x is written so that you can distinguish it from the multiplication sign. Okay? Look at the x in indices. It's different from, it's not equal to the x for multiplication sign. So when you have x raised to power 2 or x raised to power 3, what does it really mean? Any time you see this, remember that an index tells us how many times a number multiplies itself. How many times a number multiplies itself. For example, x raised to power 2 means that x multiplies itself 2 times. x multiplies itself 2 times. X times x. When you have x raised to power 3, it means that x multiplies itself 3 times. Now at this point, let me quickly mention that sometimes, instead of using the multiplication sign x, we could also use dot. So this expression could mean or could be written this way: x raised to power 3 could be written as x dot x dot x. The small number at the top is called the index or the power. So when we have x raised to power 2 or x raised to power 3, the small number at the top, let me use a different color of pen to show that. This is referred to as index or power. This is index or power. So the singular is index, the plural is indices. So you should have that understanding at this point. All right? Singular index, plural indices. So the number there at the top is called the index or power, while the x is referred to as base. The x is base. This x is base. All right? The base is the x, the index is the 2. Let me make a sketch of a square. Remember, this is a sketch. Let's, in a square, all the sides are equal. All the sides are equal. All right? So let's say each side of a square is x. Each side is x. So this is also x. This is also x. If we want to find the area of this square, area of the square will be the length times the breadth. In a square, all the lengths are equal, so let us say length times length. This is x multiply x, x times x. This will give us x raised to power 2, because the x is multiplied twice, multiplied 2 times. Let us look at a sketch of a cube. A cube. A cube. The sides are x, x, and x. If each edge is x, the volume will be the volume of this cube will be x multiply x multiply x. This is x raised to power 3. That is why we say squared. Squared is for 2 and cubed is for 3. So we can say that is why we say that squared is for 2 and cubed is for 3. There is a confusion we must avoid. Let us clear this confusion. Avoid this confusion. Six x and x raised to power 6. Are these the same? Are these the same? No. Let us find out how. 6x is equal to 6 times x. That is multiplication. But x raised to power 6 is equal to x multiply x multiply x multiply x multiply x multiply x. So 1 is multiplication by 6, and that is the first one. 1 is multiplication by 6. The other is repeated multiplication of x. All right? Just to make it clearer, let me make it clearer. This one is multiplication by 6. This one is repeated multiplication. All right? This is 6 times x, multiplication by 6. And this one is repeated multiplication. X times x times x times x times x times x. So this helps to prevent future multiplication. Future confusion. We need to avoid that confusion. Let's build towards a general rule. Let's build towards a general rule. General rule. When you have x raised to power 4, let's expand it. Expansion means x times x times x times x. Now, instead of 4, let us write x raised to power n. All right? X raised to power n. This n could represent any number. When the power or the index is n, it means x multiplied itself n times. X multiplied itself n times. X multiplied itself n times. Take note of that. The n could be any number. It could be 9. X raised to power 9 will mean x times x times x times x and so on 9 times. All right? Repeated multiplication. Repeated multiplication. This is the foundation of all index laws. This x raised to power n is the foundation of all index laws. Now, I'd like you to, can you just pause the video and try this? Try this expansion. Try this expansion. Number 1. y raised to power 3. Number 2, a raised to power 5. Try expanding that. Now let's do it together. Y raised to power 3 is equal to y times y times y. And a raised to power 5 is equal to a times a times a times a times a. Repeated multiplication. Now let me remind you of the few things that we have discussed so far. Number 1, index is equal to number of repetitions. Number of repetitions. We've also discussed that base is repeated number, the number that you repeat over and over, repeated number. And then we've also learned that x raised to power n is the repeated multiplication. Repeated multiplication. In the next lesson, we will expand powers and prepare for the add the powers rule. I would like you to go to the comment section and comment done, D-O-N-E, if you understood this lesson. This is exam math case where you solve faster and think smarter.